What's up, everybody? Welcome to another episode of the Two Worlds podcast. I'm Jake, and with me today is the Charles Leclerc to my Lewis Hamilton. It's Preston. What's up, buddy?
Hey, you told me it was gonna be a racing reference. Who dat? Is that some F1 racers?
Yes, they are Team Ferrari.
Ah, I
Yeah.
watched the Ferrari movie. What was it? Ferrari versus Ford, I think it was the movie
Oh
was
yeah,
called. Ford
yeah.
versus Ferrari. That was a good movie. I
It
liked it.
was a good movie. I
Yeah,
liked it.
very well
I
done.
only I only watched that like last year for the first time. I'm not
Did
sure when
you?
it came out, but it's pretty good.
Yeah, like a lot.
It was Christian Bale, right?
It
And
was.
what's his name? That other really popular actor whose
I
name I'm
couldn't.
blanking
Yeah,
on.
it's been a while.
Anyway, um, so let's see here. I looked up the answers ahead of time for this week's
Okay,
trivia.
so we know we got him right.
Yeah, we know we got them right. And we don't have to waste several minutes of everyone's time while I type away. And I never think to do it. I could have done this earlier today, could have done it, over the weekend. I just never think about it until it's time, but that's okay. So the first question here,
Mm,
and again, I will not give choices unless you say give me the
so I
choices.
ask.
Which of Wolverine's foes has not had adamantium?
Well, I want to say Sabretooth because I can't remember him ever getting adamantium, but let's see the options.
Sabretooth, Lady Deathstrike,
She definitely
Rough
had it.
House, Cyber.
I have a feeling they gave Sabretooth adamantium at some point or another, so I'm going with Rough House.
That is correct. It is Rough
Ayo.
House, a character that I had to Google.
I have no idea who that is. That's why I chose him. I'm like, okay,
Yeah,
to be fair, that last one I don't think I knew either, but I'm like Lady Deathstrike definitely had adamantium. Um,
right.
I just assumed that they gave Sabretooth adamantium at some point because he's like his arch nemesis. So
Yeah. Yeah. Rough House apparently first appeared in like issue 4 of his proper ongoing series.
oh,
So
okay, well,
there you go. Okay, next question. Which alien race once turned Charles Xavier into one of them?
the Shi'ar.
Incorrect.
I was going with the ones like he married, so
Right, which that is one of the options.
okay, that's what I
Um,
would have chose.
so we've got the Scrolls, the Phalanx, or the Brood.
Brood?
Yes, it is the
Okay.
Brood.
All right.
Now, if anyone out there is like, well, that's not correct. He was turned into one of the Shi'ar. Well, let me know because I'm just going off
I
of
mean, he
Google.
did marry a Shi'ar, a princess
Yes,
or whatever, so he technically
by
is a
Landra or
Shi'ar
something like
by
that.
marriage. Yeah. He got his green
Well,
card. So does that make him
yeah,
Shi'ar?
yeah, yeah. I don't know if that counts,
Okay.
but
All right.
anyway.
Close enough.
Um, this one you'll probably know because even
Okay.
I knew this one. Which superhero's powers did Rogue absorb seemingly permanently?
Captain Marvel?
Yeah, be more specific.
Miss Marvel? Oh, not Miss Marvel. Oh,
Yes,
Miss Marvel. Yeah.
yes,
Okay. Yeah. Yeah. All right.
because Captain Marvel and Miss Marvel were both options, so I wanted you to get that right.
Gotcha. Okay. Okay.
Not that Marvel is the same as Marvel, but still.
Yeah. I was going with Captain Marvel, not Marvel.
Well, it was when she was in her much cooler black costume with the yellow
Hmm.
lightning bolt. I love that costume.
Yeah.
Don't
It's
know
a
why
little
they ever
like
got
it
rid of
had
it.
that little sash going on
Mm-hmm.
the side. Yeah, I like that a
Yep.
lot.
Okay. Who is responsible for the Mutant Registration Act?
I think it's McTaggart, but you want to give me the options?
Senator Robert Kelly, Dr. Boulevard Trask, Senator Harrington Byrd, or Graydon Creed?
Trask.
No.
Ah, the first one.
Yes. Yes, Robert
Okay.
Kelly.
Let's go A or B.
Those damn senators.
I know. I know. Trash could have been it, but
This one I'm going to read the options for.
okay.
Which member of the X-Men served as Apocalypse's Horseman of Death? Gambit, Archangel, Wolverine, all of the above.
Oh, I was gonna go with Angel, but you gave me all the above. When you get all the above, you should choose all the above.
Yep, you
So I'm going
should.
with all the above.
Yep. I I remember Gambit and Wolverine, I think, were back in the 90s, but I definitely remember Archangel during that Uncanny X-Force run that I
Dude,
love so much.
that suit and everything, like Archangel looks so fucking cool. He looks so
Yeah.
rad, all metallic and like dark blue and reds, and oh,
Yeah.
it
It
was a
was
really
very
cool
good.
outfit. Really cool look.
Which it's hard not to look cool when you're the Horseman of
Angel of
Death.
Death. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Literally the Angel of Death at that point.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Who killed Wolverine's ex-fiance, Mariko?
I'm gonna want to pull Sabretooth, but let's see the options.
Oh boy, I gotta read names. Matsuo Surayaba, who had her poisoned. Wolverine, because she was dying painfully from poison. Reiko, who poisoned her. Or Sabretooth, seeking revenge.
I was gonna do Sabretooth, but then you popped up all like the Wolverine movie references. So I'm gonna it's Reiko?
It's not actually.
No? Who is it?
It's
I'm not gonna know this one.
it's Wolverine.
Oh, okay. Well, there's part of me there's like Wolverine's stories are so fucked up that it's probably gonna be he had to kill her himself, but
Yeah.
let's go with the other people.
Yep, got to make it, sad as possible. He
Mm-hmm.
she
He had to do
asked
it
him
himself.
to and he
Mm-hmm.
begrudgingly did it. So,
Yep.
okay, who raised Rogue?
That would be Mystique.
Yes,
Okay.
nicely done.
Thank you.
I had no idea prior to Googling that question.
I just remembered it sometimes when they were kind of talking to each other when Greco was a thing. Like Mystique and her wife were like head of like a council, but every once in a while they would be like they'd very she'd be very motherly to Rogue and
Gotcha.
yeah.
All right, second to last question. Who is Akiko?
Choices, please.
A female Japanese ninja, Sunpyre, Dawkins' mother, or Japanese orphan under Wolverine's protection?
I'm not gonna know this one, so I'm gonna guess. I'm gonna guess either the first one or the last one. I'm going with the last one.
Correct.
Hey,
Nicely done.
let me some multiple choice, man. 25% guessing streak.
Right? And final question. Who killed Scott Summers' mother?
I gotta have the options for this one.
Apocalypse, Magneto, Mr. Sinister, or Emperor Dekin Naranani?
Mr. Sinister?
No,
Ah,
Emperor Dekin.
no idea who the fuck that is.
Me either. But nice job, man.
Thanks. Wasn't keeping score, but I think I did pretty good.
I think I would have gotten two of them, maybe.
Yeah, maybe. I got lucky.
But now we'll move on to the news. Casey wrote one in here and I'm going to steal it. So sorry, Casey. Hasbro has partnered with Disney Plus for the
Oh,
long-awaited Power Rangers reboot after pulling out from Paramount. So
okay.
there you go.
Curious to see what that looks like. I'm a big Power Rangers fan. Like, not as I'm an older gentleman who doesn't really follow Power Rangers or anything like that since I was like a teenager, maybe. But like I've always kind of like seen them from a distance. Like, where are you going now? What kind of theme do you got this in this generation?
mhm.
Recently been starting to watch like Tokusatsu on Twitch.tv. They do a lot of reruns for older Kamen Riders and the Super Sentai. So I've been like watching a lot of like the original Power Rangers with like the cast and crew and everything like that. It's been a lot of fun. But I did watch. Did you ever watch the reboot movie?
I did not. Heard it was
I
all
thought it was
right.
pretty good. I thought it was pretty good. I love the cast that they had with it. But mainly, dude, when the Zords come out and they do the little bit of the like, it's like a remix of the main theme.
Hmm.
Man, I was like late 20s, early 30s when that movie came out, and like a kid just bursted out of me at that exact second. I'm like, yeah, it's the fucking song, and the Zords are coming. Fuck yeah, dude! I
Yep.
loved it. I liked it a lot. I got super
I
stoked, but
uh
hope they do well.
I do too. I do too. I remember thinking like the suits, the power suits or whatever
Mm-hmm.
were different, but like needed to be, I guess, for a reboot like that. They tried to make them a little more adult or a little more extreme looking, maybe. But I remember seeing pictures of the Zords and thinking those were
Yeah,
extremely cool.
Zords are very cool. I wasn't the biggest fan of the suits. It like screamed Green Lantern movie to me because it was that
Mhm.
weird like alien tech tour. It's got like lights and stuff. It's got fucking NXT lights and shit that you can change colors and whatever in it.
Yeah.
So it's like it was like you could just do a nice suit. Like
Hmm.
we saw Deadpool Wolverine. You don't need to make a futuristic, modern day version of the suits. You can just do accurate suits.
Yep.
That would be a little bit different. Just it being an older Japanese, show, and it was just literally people in like full body suits and a helmet on. But you could do a newer version of that, get the diamond, going across, and have the thing to me was like the helmet is the main thing for me.
Hmm.
Like after watching a bunch of the old Super Sentais and kind of seeing where they all go with it, like turbos in there and everything like that, the coolest one is still the original with the dinosaurs, like just Red Ranger with the T-Rex mouth for the visor and the little eyes on top, like that. Dude, the designs for those helmets were like 10 out of 10, never ever been matched. It was
Yeah.
so good.
Since you hail from a video game podcast,
Mm-hmm.
did you play, I believe, it wasn't the Power Rangers video game, it was the Power Rangers movie video game.
Played the Power Rangers movie video game. I currently own the original Power Rangers video game on Super Nintendo, which I played a lot more of.
Okay.
The movie one I rented a bunch.
I
Um,
thought it was great back then.
yeah, I know. I thought those were a lot of fun. The only thing I didn't like is that I don't think we got enough like of the Zords action in it. Um,
Ugh, but the levels with them were so
yes, they
cool.
were very
Having
cool.
the white, was it Falcon, Eagle, whatever it is,
White
just
Falcon, yeah.
going across the screen. I was like, man, this is
hmm
so awesome.
I've been really, really wanting to play the new one. It's like Rita's Revenge or Rita's Rewind or something like that. It looks really good,
Of
but
that game or the
yeah,
original?
brand new game that came out. I think it was
Oh,
last year, the end of last year.
cool.
It looks great. Like the Zords fight, it's like a beat 'em up. No, not a beat 'em up. It's like a first person fighting the other guys, and there's like someone with they're on their bikes. It's a side scroller, and it looks really good. But the reviews came out. It wasn't the greatest in the world, especially for PC. It was like less than a 3 hour long game, and it was like $30. I'm like, man.
Mm,
So it's in my wish list. I'm waiting for it to go on sale. Once it reaches 20 or below, I will probably pick it up and have a lot of fun with it. But yeah,
does look
I'm super
good.
into
I
all those
just
beat 'em
Googled
up
it.
games.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's all the different crazy like different types of ways you can play in that game look really cool. They have this, the classic side scrolling, where you run around punching things, but like,
I remember, um, I'm pretty sure it was the movie one, but maybe it was the original. But they made Billy look awful. He was
I
just
did
like
definitely
a
the original one probably because he looks like
pudgy,
portly.
just
Yeah,
nerd. And I'm like, man,
yeah.
they
Those
did him
suspenders.
so dirty.
They wanted to make the suspenders look like loose, I guess, but
Yeah.
also I think it could be that because the Blue Ranger in the original series, like the Japanese version, he was a little bit of a thicker dude. So they may have made it to where it was just like more or less like that, and they just lightened the skin
Hmm.
tone on some of them. Maybe, who knows?
Right.
I'm not sure why they did that, but yeah, he always looked bigger
Hmm.
in the game for some reason,
I was
which is
like,
odd.
man, I mean, he's definitely like a skinny nerd in the show,
Yes,
but
100%. Yeah.
yeah. Anyway, enough about Power Rangers, I guess. Um, okay. So we're getting a Red Sonja Noir in June. like all the June solicits dropped this week, so we're
Hmm.
getting new series announcements. But this promises pulp, adventure, and noir, and it'll be a revenge tale following the murder of Sonia's mercenary partner. So
Okay.
I guess it's still going to be sword and sorcery, just that little touch of noir mystery to it
Yeah.
as well. So could be cool. Um, as long as they don't do the whole it's Red Sonja, but it's 1930s New York, 'cause I
Yeah.
fucking hate that.
No thanks. I almost added a Red Sonja series to my pull list.
Let
It
me
was the
guess. The
yeah,
Mars Attacks.
no,
No, not the Mars Attacks one.
Army of Darkness one.
Ah, okay.
Yeah, that one coming
Okay.
out soon. I'm like, maybe. Like we'll see what the week is like when it gets there. But like,
Yeah,
yeah, I might jump into that. I like me some, some Ash from Evil Dead.
absolutely. Yeah, the I'm pretty sure this next week is when the Mars Attacks one comes
Saw
out,
that
and I'm
one.
just
I
like,
did see it.
man, talk about a ridiculous crossover.
Yeah, super
I
fun.
uh you and I are close in age. I remember renting that from the video store, Mars Attacks, when it came out when we were younger.
Hmm.
And the alien heads kind of freaked me out when I was a
Oh
kid, I'm
yeah,
not gonna lie.
yeah. It was when they had the head swap for the girl and the dog
Hmm.
that
Hmm.
freaked me out. But then Natalie Portman shows up and I feel all better.
Of course.
We all
I
forget that
forgot
she
she
was
was
the
in that
president's
movie.
daughter. Yep.
I
Yep, she's
forgot
daughter of the
about that.
president.
I
Love me
gotta
some Natalie
Google that real
Portman.
quick. Yeah, that's
Good
so
stuff.
funny. But yeah, the after that kind of freaked me out, I never really went back to it and rewatched it. So maybe I should one of
Oh, you
these days.
100% should. I'm sure it's still very funny.
Yeah. Um, okay, and then other new series news. Um, this one I'm pretty excited for. It's so ridiculous, but we're getting a Powerpuff Girls Thundercats crossover.
All right. Okay.
Um, I don't know about you. Cartoon Network back in the day, I watched
Yes.
a shit ton of
That
Powerpuff
era,
Girls.
I saw, yeah.
Hmm.
That's all I watched in that era.
Yeah.
Was like that Cartoon Network string of like Dexter's Lab,
Ed, Ed
that
and
Cow and
Eddie.
Chicken, Ed and Eddie.
Hmm.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah, love that stuff. So I think that should be pretty cool. They say that in this one, the girls must defeat evil on Third Earth without powers alongside the Thundercats. Um, so that will be written by Paulina Ganesho and art by Coleman Ingle. So I'm not familiar with the creators, but should still be pretty cool.
Did you see the unreleased trailer that they put out on YouTube for the live action?
No,
It's
I didn't.
bad.
Yeah,
Just don't. It's really
yeah.
bad. Really, really bad.
Casey Casey was delivering news on that as
Mhm,
it
I
was
was
like
listening to
coming
it.
out,
Hmm.
and boy, the more that came out about it, the more that I just did not want
I
anything
know.
to do with
Poor,
it.
poor my dude Donald Faison just couldn't catch a break with that one.
Yeah.
I was like, it's cool. Yeah, sure. Let him play Professor. Why not? And then it's like, I, I'd be curious. I like the girl that plays Daisy from Agents of Shield. I know she's in it.
Hmm.
I think she's super cute. So yeah, put her in there. And then if you really think about it, like it's how would you do a live action Powerpuff Girl show?
I wouldn't,
You
is the
wouldn't
thing.
exactly. Yeah, this was like slightly in the future. They're a little bit older. They're not using their powers anymore. They're trying to have normal lives, and it's just
Professor X is a bad dad. I'm like, what?
yeah, like, fuck off. Okay, whatever. All right, it's
Yeah,
it's it's not great.
but anyway, that comic should be a fun time.
Yes, for sure.
Um, all right. So we've got IDW announced that they're going to co-publish Valiant Entertainment and Alien Books, who I think was a part of Valiant. Um, when all the Diamond stuff happened,
Mhm.
Valiant was like starting to do like a resurgence. Like they had these mini series and one shots planned. That happened, and they thought that they were potentially going to go under. Didn't know what they were going to do. Um, but it looks like IDW is swooping in and helping publish that. So good for them. Hopefully it works out. I personally don't order any Valiant except for one gentleman who wants that stuff. but you know, at least for one of my customers' sakes, he gets to
Sure.
continue
Yes.
reading Valiant.
Is there any like known IP that we would know about from that one? Valiant?
Yeah, you would know Valiant stuff.
I think I've had like maybe one or two. It's like weird, like just random, not like IP
Surely
based stories. Yeah.
surely you know Bloodshot because
Oh,
that
sure.
Vin Diesel actually did a
Yeah, I remember
Bloodshot
that.
movie a
Yeah.
few years ago. But there was uh, one from our childhood, Turok. Turok was
Okay.
done by Valiant.
I have a holographic issue one
Of
somewhere in a
course you
box
do.
somewhere.
Of course you
Everyone
do.
has that. Yeah, you get
Everyone
them at
does,
10
but it's
cents for a free
great.
comic book.
It's great.
Yeah.
Um, Turok is like actually an old comic from like back in the
Yeah,
60s. So it's cool whenever those come in sometime. But yeah, Turok, and then there are a handful of others that I guess had their time back in the 90s, right?
sure.
But but anyway. And then another company has announced that they're leaving Diamond. That's Titan. Titan
Oh,
actually does um, like Conan the Barbarian right now. They did like the Bloodborne comics, a couple others, I think, that I'm blanking on off the top of my head, but they're going to be going to Lunar, which seems to be the trend right now, um, which I'm fine with. I would much rather give Lunar my money than Diamond.
for sure.
And so today is when that the auction for Diamond happens. And I just saw right before we started recording that it's going to stretch into tomorrow. Um, it seems like it's been a mess. There were some people that showed up, like creditors that showed up, that apparently didn't give enough information prior to going, and so they were not allowed entry. Um, I also heard a rumor last week that Todd McFarlane might be buying Diamond
Oh shit.
because he's a millionaire,
He's
with
got
his
stuff to
toy
ship.
company. And
Yeah, he's got toys and stuff to ship. Why
yeah,
not?
I don't know if there's any weight to that, but anyway, I guess we'll find out sometime tomorrow what's going to happen with all that.
Okay. Listen in next week. Find out what happened.
Yeah, hopefully it's good news because boy,
Yeah. It's
we
been a
need
shit
some
show.
good
Yeah.
news. Um, and that is the news.
Okay.
So now we can talk about the comics we read. So
The
what did you read this
comics
week?
this week came in an hour ago. We got Ultimate X-Men, Peach Momoko, number 13. I got Psylocke, number 5. Exceptional X-Men with the dope Peach Momoko variant, kimono variant. And then for funsies, since I knew I was going to be on the show, Absolute Flash, number 1.
Nice. Because you picked that up, I also read that one. So we
Okay.
would at least
We got
have
a little
one to talk
samesies.
about.
Yeah, that's what I was kind of hoping on that one.
Um, so yes, I read Absolute Flash. Number one, Challengers of the Unknown, number four, The New Gods, number four, Nightwing 124, Magik, number three, Thundercats Lost, number one, Sonic the Hedgehog 77, DC Sonic the Hedgehog crossover, number one,
Oh.
Batman and Robin Year One, number six,
Mm-hmm.
The Sacrificers 15, Saga 72, and Zatanna number two.
Damn, dude, big week.
Big week for
Big
me
week.
this week. So I
Well,
should have pulled all of these out of the covers before recording, but that's okay.
there you go.
I've got just a couple more than you,
Yeah.
so I'll start us off here. Um,
So you got 8
so
to
we'll
go
go
through
with
before we get to Bayushi.
right. I'll do like four, and then I'll let you do one here.
Sure.
So I'm going to start off with Batman and Robin, Year One, number six, by Mark Waid and Chris Somney. It's good. It's kind of annoying how good it is, um, because I was like, we don't need a Batman and Robin year one. However, it's just so damn good
Okay.
that I just want to keep reading it. So I think one of the best parts about this book are just the character moments between Batman and Robin. Uh, it's like a good mix of campy old Batman, but with actual, I don't know, just like heavy stuff, I guess.
Okay.
The only thing I don't like is that Mark Waid likes to try to use modern language, and this book is drawn like a classic Batman story. So it's weird to
Oh,
see classic Robin saying the word hella. That took hella work. It's like, it just doesn't work.
yeah.
Just
No.
doesn't work for me. But that's like a very minor gripe.
Sure.
Um, the rest of it's very good. And I gotta give it like a 9 out of 10. There's really nothing to complain about. Next, The Sacrificers. It's by Rick Remender and Max Fiamara. And this is one of my favorite Image books. Like the art's just so fucking good, and it's just this weird mythology story that Rick Remender tells. Um, Mythology meets revenge, and you just get to watch this mortal character just get so pissed off at gods that he eventually has the power of one himself, and now he wants to kill them all. So it's just super cool. Um, it looks like the next, like the thing that bums me out is there's a hiatus until the next one comes out because I get it. They want to take their time and make it the best that they can.
Sure.
But they promise that the next one is going to be just an all-out battle between like the main god and our main
Hmm.
character. So very much looking forward to that. But let me just show you the last page because the
It
art is just so
sounds very
good.
God of War. Oh yeah, I like that armor.
Yeah, I do too.
Very cool designs. Yeah.
So yeah, whenever the inevitable like complete edition comes out, and
Hmm.
this is for anybody, check it out. It's so
Okay.
fun. Um, 9 out of 10. I'm gonna be
Yeah.
giving a lot of nines because there was a lot of good
A
shit
lot of
out
good
this
shit.
week.
Yeah.
Next, we've got Saga 72. It's by Fiona Staples and Brian K. Vaughan. Oh, speaking of, this should have been in the news, but Brian K. Vaughan announced that um, at least one and hopefully more of his Substack exclusive comics. Are you familiar
Hmm.
with Substack?
I know of it.
Okay. For those that don't know, it's like a Patreon for creators. Anyway, the comic he puts out through that, he said is going to be getting a collected edition through Image. So that's pretty cool if you don't do Substack but want to read Brian K. Vaughan comics like I do at least. It's like, okay, I don't have to read it digitally. I can wait till the collected edition comes
Yeah.
out physically through Image. So pretty
Which is
cool.
what I prefer.
But yes, Saga, amazing as always. The only thing is that, and Casey and I have talked about this before, because they took like 3 years off a while back,
Hmm.
characters are showing up that I think are supposed to be like, oh my gosh, they're back. But it's been so long that it's like, oh, I know who
Hmm.
that is, but I feel like this is supposed to be hitting me harder than it is.
I guess they're expecting people to like reread before they started it back up. Like, oh, people will just reread all of it right before we start back up, anyways. Like, well,
Yeah,
not
and
everybody has
like,
that time.
yeah, like I
It's a lot.
wanted to because it's so damn good,
Yeah.
but it is a lot. Um, But anyway, this book's still fucking amazing. I love it. It's honestly another nine.
One of these days I'll get to it. It's one of those like rainy day back burner backlog to where it's like one of these days I'll be sitting there I'm like, I don't have much to read. I'm like, you know what? We'll start up Saga this time.
Yeah, as a comic fan, you have to.
I've
You
been
just
told
have to.
time and time again.
All right. And then next is Zatanna, number two. It's written and drawn by Jamal Campbell, who is just on top of his game with this book. It's
Good.
so, so gorgeous. And I like the writing too, which is something I couldn't say about the last Zatanna book
Which
that
is
came
why I
out.
didn't pick this one up. But now I'm gonna be looking for the trade. Okay.
Yes, yes, definitely. This one's cool because Blue Devil co-stars in this one, and that is a
Okay.
DC character that does not show up enough, in my opinion. But he was like, I'm going to help you out because whenever I got trapped in the Blue Devil suit, you were there for me, save me from losing my humanity. I feel like it's only fair that I help you in your time of need. So he's there for quite a while until Zatanna pulls the whole bind him with magic chains and run off because she doesn't want her friends to get hurt on her behalf.
Of course.
Um, I'm sure he'll show back up, but it ends on another mild cliffhanger that I won't spoil, but it's very good. Art is just spectacular. Um, Probably a solid 8.5 on this one.
Okay.
And now I'll let you do one.
Okay. Gee, thanks. My turn. We'll do Exceptional X-Men #7 with the sweet designed Peach Momoko kimono cover. And not just that, obviously I love Peach Momoko and the way she designs things, but like even like in the background, those like diamond shards that are poking up, just like the color that they have in there are just so fucking good. I'll get to more about her and her art when I get to her comic book here in a little bit. This is writer's Eve Ewing, and the artist is Carmen Carnero. Um, Again, just kind of a middling comic. Just not the biggest fan of Emma Frost. She kind of starts it off, and then they go into some sparring with the kids. One of the kids isn't there. He's talking to the CEO guy who's making an app to pull in data of people's genetics. It's a very timely kind of thing, and he sees some promise in the kid. Of course, the kid shows back up late to the training. They all get pissed off at each other. He says some words, storms off, and then goes back to that CEO guy, like, "Hey, are you there? I'm just, need to talk to somebody." He gets there and he finds out more about the gene stuff going on, and the person kind of reveals more of a sinister plan, and ends with a cliffhanger, which I won't spoil. But he reveals himself to be someone else. And if you're listening to my wording about him, you will probably guess who he is. Not to mention, for some reason, he has red eyes. So you're like, well, I gotta know where you are. So yeah, we'll see
Is
how this
he
goes.
maybe a mister?
Yeah, he's a Mister. I'm pretty sure that's part of his pronouns. He, him. Mister. But yes, it leaves out with the cliffhanger with like essentially the new villain now that the manhunt stuff is all over. But this one did have a little bit of a manhunt thing in there towards like, hey, Professor Xavier has escaped, and some of the kids don't even know who he is. And I'm like, how do you not know this? We've been doing this for the past month in X-Men books. It's like little S asterisks they have at the bottom there. I'm like, not of all of us are reading those things, so maybe you shouldn't. Like this one wasn't tied too much into it; it's more of a mention, which was nice. Still though, give this a 6 out of 10. It's fine. I just want Kitty to leave this team, or at least what I think is going to happen is some of those teams will merge. So we got
Mhm.
3 teams of like them bringing up these new mutant kids, and I think sooner or later they'll all kind of hang out for some big super evil that happens. I'm sure sooner or later down the
Yeah.
road.
Okay, before I read my next one,
Mm-hmm.
I forgot to read another bit of news.
Okay.
But this real quick. Also in June, we're getting um a Mega Man X comic.
Oh
Uh,
fuck me. Okay.
I know, which is pretty cool.
Yeah.
And another Darkstalker Street Fighter crossover,
Okay.
and then a Street Fighter Elena. Not
Elena.
sure who that character is, but she is getting a one shot as well.
Okay. Very
So,
cool.
but yeah, Mega Man, I think will do pretty well because anytime
Mm-hmm.
I get Mega Man, like the old Mega Man comics in at the shop, they're gone
Gone.
immediately.
Yeah.
So,
No, X is my favorite of the series, so I will probably be getting into that. I will look to see what kind of covers those Street Fighter ones and Darkstalkers ones are, because I know a few characters that I'm sure Art Germ is going to want to love to draw, or somebody
Yeah.
else wants to draw the sexy ladies of those, and it's going to look good. Maybe they get the other gentleman who's been doing the Capcom ones, the Marvel vs. Capcom ones. He's a very
Oh,
famous artist. I
the
just can't remember his name.
Bengus or Bengal?
Bangus, yeah, that's right.
Bengus, yeah. I know Morrigan, like the Batgirl, but
Yes,
who's
everyone
the
knows
Cat
them.
Girl?
The cat girl, like the white, it's
Yeah.
like blue hair. I couldn't tell you off the top of my head. I'm not a Darkstalkers guy.
Okay. Is that a
I've
fighting
seen plenty
game?
of it.
I don't know
Is
what that
that's a
is.
fighting game. That is
Okay.
100% a fighting game. Yes.
Gotcha.
Yes, yes.
Yeah. Um, I feel like Morrigan, or maybe both of them were in one of the Marvel versus Capcom games.
They usually have a Capcom versus, and it's usually like I don't know what Darkstalkers is from, if they're from like SNK or if it's like a Capcom versus Capcom kind of thing, to where it's just all their Street Fighter versus Capcom type of deal. I can't remember off the top of my head where Darkstalkers was made, so but I'm sure there was a crossover because Capcom loved to do that with pretty much anyone who was willing to do so. So
Right. Let's see. It is Capcom.
all right, so that was probably if I had to guess either Marvel vs. Capcom or Street Fighter versus Capcom.
It had to have been Marvel versus Capcom because that's like the only one I've ever played.
Gotcha. Yeah, she probably showed up there then. Yeah, most
Yeah.
likely.
Anyway, okay. Back to comic books. Also, I've never played like I no, I can't say I've never played. I've played Mega Man games. I've never beat one. I think they're so fucking hard, dude. Like I've tried like
Yeah.
the first four and I
Hmm.
just can't do it. I don't I'm just not good enough.
Yeah. I rented Mega Man X enough to be able to like had like the cheat codes. Once you finish a boss, you could like save them on a piece of paper. So like I would be end up doing that. And I think Mega Man X was the only one I've ever finished because I just got that one so many times. I don't know why our parents like don't notice that we're renting the same game over and over again. Cause I've definitely paid more than $60 playing that game over and over again.
Dude,
Or whatever
I
the
may
price was
have
back then.
I know I've told this story on the podcast. I don't know if I've ever told you the story, but I remember renting Super Smash Brothers for N64 so many times that the guy at the store was like, "Do you just want to buy this?"
Yeah, it's like you've been paying me enough. I could probably give you a
Yeah,
used discount on it. Yeah,
right. Which I just think now is hilarious.
it
But
is.
all right. Next up for me is Challengers of the Unknown, number 4. And it's written by Christopher Cantwell with art by Sean Izaakse and Amanke Nahuelpan. I really need to learn how to pronounce that name. But anyway, Challengers is one of my favorite books right now. I have sung its praises for this will be the 4th issue, but I think this book just perfectly blends these characters that I don't know shit about with Justice League members, and it makes me care about them. And a
Mhm.
lot of that is Christopher Cantwell's writing, but this one, uh, Hal Jordan is in all of it, along with a very obscure Captain Comet.
Okay.
And basically, by the end of it, the League is like fully does not trust the challengers anymore because there is like omega energy in all of them, and they don't know why. They don't feel like they're doing anything bad or wrong, and they're not that we can see. It's just the League doesn't trust all of that energy. And
Yeah.
since, that DC All-In special a few months ago, Darkseid dies and all of his energy goes every which way, it seems that the challengers have absorbed a lot of it. And, now the League doesn't trust them. So
Probably getting all that energy in one spot's probably not a good thing.
probably not.
Yeah.
But I know it's only got like 2 issues left, which is a bummer because I could read a whole series of this. But yeah, really good stuff. It's another 9 out of 10 for me. And Christopher Cantwell has just really become one of my favorite writers of late.
Nice.
And then We've got the New Gods, number 4. It's by Ram V, with art by Evan Cagle and I believe Bernard Chang. But I need to double check that. Yes, it was Bernard Chang. But it's really cool. Uh, the first issue, Orion is like, Mr. Miracle, you need to go save this kid and get him away from me. I can't defy my father. My father wants me to kill the kid. I'll give you 7 days. Well, in this issue, the 7 days is up, and Orion comes to kill the kid because Mr. Miracle could not get him
There
out
you
in
go.
time. Meanwhile, while all that's happening, so it's like Miracle and Barda versus Orion, and then the other half of the book is a brand new war happening on New Genesis, and we get to see these cool new gods just fuck shit up.
All
It,
right. That's what
it
you want to
is
see.
so cool. I gotta find this one panel. Um, because this one new god named Shadowfall hooks herself up to a mother box, which amplifies this bow that she
Mm-hmm.
uses, and she's just taken out full star destroyers up in the sky with this thing,
Jeez.
and it looks fucking
That's
awesome.
awesome.
Or just like shoots one up into the sky, and then it turns into like a million arrows and just rains down on all the
Cluster
like,
bomb. Yeah.
yeah, all the foot soldiers. So it's just pretty cool. Um, I think this book is perfect. It is a perfect reintroduction of the new gods. And then at the end, High Father was like, I tried to be a peaceful god. I should have known it wasn't going to last forever. And he walks into the heart of the city. And when he comes out, he's wearing this crazy armor and has a new staff. And he's like, Light Ray, Akala, clear the battlefield. And it's like, oh shit, he's
Yeah.
about to go out there and fucking kill everybody. So it's so cool. I love it. 10 out of 10.
Okay.
Honestly,
Probably.
probably my pick of the week. Yeah.
Okay.
Really good stuff. You have two more from our Muchi or one?
Two more before the Moochie.
Okay. I will do another one. We've got Nightwing number 124 by Mr. Dan Waters and Dexter Soy. Um, Nightwing in front of the two gangs that are like fighting over Bloodhaven decides that he is going to give blood for a blood transfusion uh, for three members of the Fly Boys gang, hoping to inspire the other gang to put aside their differences and also donate some blood. They don't. They don't give a fuck. So Nightwing, and this is the part, like, I love Dan Waters, but this part sounded unbelievable and stupid. Nightwing gives like 3 liters of blood, which is like half your body's worth or
It's
something,
a lot.
according to this book. And then he's just fine to like go ride a motorcycle and go fight. And I'm just like, dude, I don't buy it. I just
Pretty
don't
sure that's
buy
not how
it.
that works. Yeah.
Yeah, it's like how like is he peak human physicality? Yes. But you still
Sure.
have your limits, right?
Yeah.
Um, especially if you're not like a metahuman or whatever. So
Mm-hmm.
anyway, Dick's sister, who is the mayor of Bloodhaven, teams up with a bad guy who unleashes these sphere bots to go out into the city and catch bad guys. What could go wrong there, right?
Sure.
Definitely,
Who's the bad guys, huh?
yeah. Who's the bad guys? Obviously, all the civilians are going to be terrified of this. And then this little boy from one of the gangs shows up and helps Nightwing at the end, and then calls him boss, insinuating that this kid wants to be a lackey for Nightwing. So who knows if that will lead to Nightwing taking him in, having a
Little sidekick.
sidekick,
Yeah.
or if that's just like a throwaway line. Who knows? But
Okay.
I'm still gonna give it an 8. Like the art's really fucking good, and like I like the story with like the mayor and the robots and all that
Mm-hmm.
stuff. I just thought giving half your body's worth of blood and then driving a motorcycle and fighting was kind of stupid. So
that's not how it works.
yeah.
Okay, my turn.
Yep.
Gonna go with Psylocke number 5 by one of my favorite writers, Alyssa Wong. And then we have guest artists, Vincenzo Cerrato with Moses Hidalgo. Thought the art was great. The art did really well. They got it just starting off. She is tacked to a giant light board, as you would, someone who collects insects and stuff like that. You'll recognize those pins. But essentially, she has been held captive by the taxonomist, who has a skin degenerative disease. He's not a mutant, but he essentially brings to life a whole bunch of like taxidermied animals as like his army, and essentially is trying to start a museum, if you will, like an art exhibit of just taxidermed mutants. So
Okay.
she is one of his favorite, as far as like what went into her past and like the history of everything. And he's like, well, this collection part will be complete once we get your other half, Betsy, in here. And that just sets her off. She just breaks free of these giant deals, just kind of pulls herself off of everything, beats the shit out of him, and is done with that villain. That it was a very quick. He's in a wheelchair too, by the way, so it's not like he can do much as far as fight. She's mainly fighting all of his taxidermied monsters. So at the very end, she goes back to the X-Men. Beast kind of heals her up. Cyclops is like, when I put you on vacation and take you on leave, I need you to lie low and have a vacation. He's like, but either way, you're back. Glad to see you're back. Hope you kind of got your stuff, taken care of in your head. So she goes back to her home where Grey Crow is making some din. They're being very cute to each other. And then she goes to look in the mirror. And as she goes to look in the mirror, this like horrific image that has, it's kind of like cybered out a little bit, but I'll show it up to you in here. It's like she's like separate. There's like a piece of her that's separating from it. So I don't know if that's supposed to be like her inner Betsy, or if that's supposed to be like the inner assassin to her, because she says she's no longer an assassin, she's an X-Men, but that doesn't mean that she can't be a badass. Essentially was how that end fight happened, or what devolved from that end fight. I thought that this was really good. Not as exciting as most of the other issues have been, but it sets up the new arc, which is going to be like the war within. I'm not sure if this is like a ghost that's like infecting her mind, like a different psychic, or if this is just her battling her own inner demons. So I'm sure we'll find out more in the next issue, but been really liking the series. Good to see it going through a new arc and not being canned so early in. So I'm digging it. Not my pick of the week. I'll probably give this one, an 8 out of 10. It's still pretty good. It just didn't really mean much for the overall arc other than to tell you where it's going now. So
Yeah.
but love it. Alyssa Wong does a great job.
Well, I'm right there with you in being surprised and proud of Marvel for letting it go more than just the 5 issues.
Yes, yeah. So I'm glad they did it, because I mean that, and I don't have a whole lot of Alyssa Wong to read. I know she's starting up a Star Wars High Republic line going through here soon, but other than that, I'm not getting really much more from her. So it'd be good to see her do more of this for sure. She's doing a good job with Kanan.
I am curious if she'll do another Afra series one of these days.
My fingers are crossed, bro. Hey, that Star Wars Celebration is happening soon. We'll get some announcements on new comic books, which will kind of let us know the new High Republic comic books coming out, which I know they're kind of starting up soon anyways. But I'm sure they'll give us more of a depth of like the future of that High Republic, but also, yeah, maybe we get some Dr. Aphra, because I know they're starting up Star Wars 1 again, and I'm probably going to be looking into that. So it'd be cool if they got more Dr. Aphra. Later on, as like a little tease, I have reworked my Marvel top 4 characters, which I will do before the Fantastic Four. And she's technically a Marvel character. So
it's true.
I have put her in that list. So
nice. All right. Next up for me is Magik number 3. It's by Ashley Allen and Germán Peralta. I didn't bring it with me. There is an incredible Jenny Friesen variant cover. Um, but I also really like this A cover by J. Scott Campbell. It shows both of her,
Oh
uh,
yeah, it's
you
got the
know,
white and gold and the black.
yeah.
Yeah.
So pretty cool. But anyway, yeah, this was cool. She, meets with this guy in hell who the bad guys are trying to break the seals that are keeping him trapped. Um, Liminal, that's his name. We kind of get his background and what he is wanting from Ilyana throughout this whole thing. Um, she ends up having to make a deal with him to be let go of wherever she's being kept, hell or wherever he is. Um, and that deal essentially means after so many days, or no, as soon as she leaves, like her mental chains keeping Darkchild suppressed are broken. So she is fighting uh, herself internally to keep Darkchild suppressed. We'll see if she's able to do so. And then at the end, she meets up with Danny Moonstar, another extremely cool X-Men, in my opinion, as far as like design wise, um, who I think is going to help her going forward, which is cool. So,
Yeah, I was wondering what happened with her inner child. I know I definitely read much with magic in it, but like all the X-Men stuff I have been reading, like she doesn't unleash her demon form. So I've seen the demon form in Marvel Rivals, so I know it happens. I know that she still
mm,
has it, but like I haven't heard of anything about that, so I didn't know if she got rid of it or obviously she is just suppressing it.
yeah, just suppressing it. She wants to get rid of it. I think she's a much more interesting character when she can't, you know?
Yeah,
Uh, so we'll see what happens with this. But I just think she looks so fucking cool when
she's
Darkchild comes
badass.
out.
Yeah.
Um, so I'm looking forward to the inevitable. She can't
Mm-hmm.
control it. It breaks out. She's gonna have to fight it. Uh, it'll be great. And what I think would be nice is if she learns to actually let it out but control it. You know
Like a
what I
Hulk type
mean?
of thing. Yeah.
Yeah, kind of like that. I think that would be awesome for like the really strong bad guys like this
Mm-hmm.
liminal character. So we'll see what happens next. A solid read though. Um, I think it gets a little bit better with each issue. I think Alan is finding her stride in writing this book. So I'm gonna give it an 8.
Hmm.
All right. Then we've got Thundercats Lost. It's by Ed Brisson and Rafa Labasco, but this is essentially like a huge war between Thundera and evil forces before the events of like the Thundercats comic,
Mm-hmm.
I think. um, you kind of just get thrown right into it from the first page, so which I think is fine. Um, but it's just like a lot of characters that I don't know. And but it was well written enough because Ed Brisson's a good writer that I'm willing to stick it out and see what happens next. Plus, they show uh, this guy named Scorpius, who the leader of the enemy army is sending out to like bounty hunt the Thundercats, and he looks pretty fucking cool.
Oh, nice. Like a
So
crossbones looking guy.
yeah, so we'll see what happens there. Yeah, it was fine, well written enough. Art's pretty cool. I just don't really know what's going on yet or who the characters are. So I'm going to give a 7, but it's a strong 7.
Yeah.
Um, you saw one more?
So one more. So if you just want to read up to your to Flash, and then I can
Sure.
do mine before Flash.
So Sonic the Hedgehog 77 by Ian Flynn with art by Adam Bryce Thomas. This is continuing the story where Sonic hires the Chaotix to find out what happened to Clutch, the possum, who kind of just disappeared at the end of the Rogue Rider arc. And they find him. Turns out he's handed over all of his assets and his business to the two skunks, Rough and Tumble. And Sonic is clearly like, he wouldn't do that. Something's going on here. What is going on? But he can't find anything legally. So they do have to leave. And after they do, Clutch opens up a secret entrance and walks into this room full of monitors and takes off his hat. And wouldn't you know it, there's like an Eggman spider attached to his head.
Oh.
He's being controlled. He
Um,
We see Eggman on the monitor. They have a conversation, and it'll continue from there. So interesting stuff. We'll see how Eggman uses Clutch going forward, probably to take the fall for whatever he's got going on, but
sure.
it's good stuff. I love the Sonic comics. Yeah, gonna give it an 8. It's just good Sonic fun.
Does it have Rouge in it? Was Rouge in this issue?
She was not
0 out
really
of
zero out of 10.
10.
Yeah, I know, right? Yeah, it was pretty much just the Chaotix and Sonic. All right, and then we've got the DC Sonic the Hedgehog crossover, and it was also written by Ian Flynn with art by
Okay.
Adam Bryce Thomas. And this is interesting because I've only seen Adam Bryce Thomas draw Sonic characters, so it was fun to see him draw the Justice League
Yeah,
members. Um, they're a little cartoony, but
sure.
it's not it's not bad by any means. It's actually it's quite good.
No, yeah, it's fine. It's
Yeah.
like yeah, like a Justice League show or something like that. Yeah.
Hmm.
Cartoon.
But this panel is now officially canon.
Mm-hmm.
Knuckles is he punches Calabac, son of
Okay.
Darkseid.
Yeah.
And then Superman comes down and smashes Calabac into the ground. And Knuckles says, I wasn't done with him, Superman. And Superman goes, geez, sorry, Knuckles. Thanks for softening him up for me. And I'm just like, holy
Okay, all
shit.
right.
This is not like a fan fiction. This is a real life DC comic now.
Yeah, it's supposed to be.
So it's hilarious. Anyway, uh, the League in this one is Superman, Wonder Woman, John Stewart, Flash, Cyborg, and Batman. And their counterparts are Tails, Amy, Sonic, Knuckles, Silver, and Shadow. So, uh, you know, Tails and Cyborg team up because they're the techie boys.
Yeah.
Um, Amy and Wonder Woman, Silver and Green Lantern because they both can control stuff with their rings or their mind. And then the two angsty boys are Shadow and Batman.
Yeah.
There's this little moment where Shadow is like, I don't have time for this shit. And he leaves. He doesn't say shit, but
Mm-hmm. Yeah, sure. Yeah.
he leaves, and Batman's like, I'll take care of it. And he follows them and he's like, who was it? And Shadow says, what? And Batman says, the one you couldn't protect, the one you watched die in front of you. And so Shadow
He
then
says the
tells
yeah.
him about Maria and
Mm-hmm.
all that stuff. And Batman's like, I get it. I was there too with my parents, and they have a little moment, and then Shadow's like, fine, I'll stick around. You better be worth the trouble. So anyway,
Someone
lots
who
of fun
understands
stuff.
him.
Yes, exactly. And then Sonic and Flash are kind of together because they're the fast boys.
Sure.
They're
The racing
quippy.
all the time. Yeah.
Yeah, making fun of each other in a playful way.
Mm-hmm.
And also, Darkseid uses his Omega beams to destroy the Master Emerald, and then he goes after uh, a Chaos Emerald at the end of the first issue. So he's obviously going to try to collect them all to power whatever it is he's trying to power.
Sure.
So
Yeah.
I thought it was a really good first issue. It's a fun crossover. It makes sense, for what it is.
Yeah. Sure.
And I just had a really good time with it. It's
Do they say how they show up in the same universes, or is it just no? We just live on the same planet. We just felt like going over this one
it's not
galaxy, I
that.
guess.
It's just like a big portal opens up
Sure.
and
Okay.
Darkseid's like big floaty spaceship planet comes through. and I guess the league maybe follows him, uh, follows through it. But
Okay.
they don't really have to introduce themselves. They kind of just know each other already, except for Flash and Sonic. So I don't know. I mean, it's not perfectly explained, but come on,
Yeah,
this is for kids,
you
right?
don't really need an explanation. I'm always kind of curious with these crossovers. Like, okay, so how did they merge
hmm
together? How does this going through? What do we do?
The thing that makes the most sense is like a boom tube,
Yeah,
because you know, Apocalypse and the Fourth World, boom tubes are their portals. I'm sure that that's what, and
somehow
Cyborg has
come
the power to
here.
open
Yeah,
those up now. So there you go. But
sure.
anyway, very fun. Gonna give it a 9 out of 10. Arguably the most fun book of the week.
Nice.
And I
My
just
turn.
got Flash left. Yep.
All right. Last but certainly not least, Peach Momoko,
I
number
will be,
13.
you continue. I'll be right
Yes.
back.
All right. Peach Momoko, Ultimate X-Men number 13. I'll say this every single time I read one of these. I am just overly ecstatic that Marvel lets Peach just go wild with this. You would think with their ultimates, they're all variations of these characters, but with X-Men, this is like set in Japan with a bunch of Japanese kids. Armor is kind of like the mainstay of it. I've mentioned these kind of characters before. Um, but this one starts off by having Hisako being whose armor Hisako is like being mind controlled by essentially Shadow King. And Shadow King is kind of being like the puppet master for the Children of the Atom cult that's happening, and is now gotten control of Hisako. Um, so it's now going to be Hisako versus the rest of her friends, aka the Ultimate X-Men, which is Canon, Nico, and essentially Lady Psylocke, Cyclops, which is what they name they give her? Natsu, Tsukishima. It's just called Nico's friend, but she is essentially one-eyed Cyclops. She always has like a patch over her eye. Um, but man, this I've always kind of said like, oh, they're kind of building up the world, building up the lore of like this Peach Momoko kind of X-Men universe. But they finally, we get some like crazy batshit action stuff. So Hisako armor has been like possessed by Shadow King, and she is in this. She has a motorcycle, and it's like just covered around with the demon armor.
Looks cool.
And I've had a couple of covers of Peach Momoko doing Ghost Rider, and you can tell she's channeling her inner Ghost Rider love into a little bit of this. But yeah, Kanan has like a nailed bat, and they're kind of just fighting her a little bit, just trying to get the demon out, essentially. But you're getting so many of these great, like minimalist, but like also like super detailed designs with like Shadow King in the background because he's just a kid. But like some of like the armor, like the armor, like magic, if you will, around everything just the coolest, like most intricate, like super imaginative designs that they put in all this. Very anime with like the white glasses going on.
Yeah.
But I absolutely adored this issue. It's kind of what I wanted out of this whole entire series. I'm glad we finally got to it. Took 13 issues, but we kind of needed it for this anime kids in high school or whatever age group they're in, just kind of just discovering their powers and the world around it. So it's very great. I loved it. And I haven't shown any of this on the show yet, but Peach Momoko has been enjoying doing these like last page explanations of like Japanese words or Japanese like ideals and stuff like that. So this one, we got like old punk kids. So like this guy you've seen in many anime. He had like the pompadour haircut and like the shirt, but yeah, it just goes into like what's Sukiban or what's a Supari. And like Supari was like a group of punk boys during the 60s through the 80s. And like how like they dressed, so like the boys, they wore baggy pants and like flat shoes with like, and they sewed up like their shirts to be shorter. And it's just a cool like little dive into like, hey, this is kind of like what I based some of these characters or like their designs off of. But here's like the real world like meaning and the Japanese kind of like words and stuff like that and culture like that's based off of. So it was very
That's
cool.
cool. Yeah.
That's a 10 out of 10 for me. That's 1000% my pick of the week.
Nice. I'm glad that's paying off for you.
Hell yeah.
Which brings us to our final issue and our only mutual book,
Mhm.
Absolute Flash, #1 by Jeff Lemire and Nick Robles.
Very beefy. I picked this up like, okay, this is going to be a handful of minutes on this one. It's very
Yeah.
thick, very good.
Um, yeah, I didn't have really any expectations for this book
Okay.
when I got it because I really only cared for like one of the Absolute books that have come out, but it was actually pretty good. I liked
Surprisingly,
it.
yeah, I didn't know it was gonna be a Wally joint. Like this is a
Yeah.
Wally Flash. So like,
Yeah.
okay, they're gonna keep the names, and Barry shows up as working on some science stuff with his dad. So it's an interesting way to start it. Definitely, obviously, they start off with he's very upset of something that he did, and they're gonna do some time jumps here and there, but um, it was really interesting how it all kind of unfolded. I'm curious
Hmm.
to see how you feel about it.
Yeah. First off, the art is fantastic.
Right.
Um, Big fan. I like how Barry is trying to be like a bit of a mentor towards
Mm-hmm.
Wally. Obviously, that doesn't get to happen for very long because of the accident that happens. Um, and we haven't technically seen exactly what happens for Wally to get what I assume they're going to call it the Speed Force, but his speed powers.
Yeah.
Um, Also, his rogues gallery are seemingly like a military group in this
Mm-hmm.
book. So we've got Golden Glider, Captain Boomerang, Captain Cold, and I wasn't exactly sure who the person with the big helmet was.
I only knew Boomerang and Captain Cold, but that's the only ones I recognized. So yeah, I didn't know the one. It's very anime-esque. It has like the big round helmet like on top of
Hmm.
him. I have no idea who they are. And who was that other lady? I had no idea who that was.
Golden Glider,
Golden Glider.
she originally just wore golden ice skates and she could like skate really fast with
Gotcha.
them. But in this, they seem to be like jet boots of some sort.
Mm-hmm.
But boy, they made Captain Cold a
He's very
himbo in
cool.
this one.
He's very cool. Like at first, I'm like, who is this? Like this is like a weird like Rick Flag looking dude. I'm like,
Yeah,
who is this? And then he put on the glasses. I'm like, oh, he
yeah.
has the glasses with the slits, and then like he's Captain Cold. Okay, all right.
And where's the beef? They're in Captain Cold's thighs.
Yes, they are. Yes, he's a thick boy. He
He's
gets
a
that
big
jogs in.
boy.
Yeah, he's doing stairs every day.
Yeah, but yeah, it's good. Wally has a lot of uh dad issues in this. His
For
dad
sure.
is not very nice, and his
Traveling
dad,
military family kind of deal. But I love the
yeah.
way that Barry kind of stood up to the father a little bit. He stood
Mhm.
up to him, but like kind of like called him out on his bullshit. Like, yo, it's a fucking kid. He's feeling like out of place. I'm just trying to show him. And he's like, oh, you shut up. You're not a part of this. I'm like, yeah, you're being kind of a dick, dad. You're being
Yeah,
kind of a little bit of a dick.
definitely was. And his dad wants you to think that it like this is all for, Wally's good and he's trying to protect him or whatever, but it's like, man, you gotta see that this would fucking suck for him.
Yeah.
All the traveling, making no friends, can't go anywhere outside of his room, like
On a military base, so we can't like really go in and out when at certain times, and it's
yeah.
just bullshit.
And then at the end we get a look at another rogue who we haven't seen yet, who can only be Mirror Master. And he's just kind of looking at, I'll say, the events of Wally's life.
Mm-hmm.
So, we'll just see what all of that means. I mean, there's definitely a lot more questions than answers, but
Yeah,
it's kind of supposed to because it's the first
it
issue.
gives you the vibe. I really like the design of the Speed Force in this one, like the horizontal like rectangles that they kind of put in there is a very
Hmm.
cool, different look, and
Agreed.
the new symbol.
Yeah.
You can kind of see on the cover, but you see a lot more when he picks up like the uniform off
Yeah.
the ground. But yeah, I don't know if I don't hate it. The original Flash costume is like 10 out of 10. You cannot beat that. It's
Hmm.
just like perfection. It's perfect. Like the Batman suits, like the original 90s Batman logo, Superman's logo changes every once in a while here and there, but it's all kind of the same thing. Um, this one's a little bit different. I don't know if I like it too much, but I want to see it in action. I want to see it like all in Wally.
Yeah.
That's what happens.
Yeah. And I guess we don't really know when this takes place, but like Wally, he's wearing like the joggers with like the fast running shoes and
Sure.
stuff. Like
I saw kids
he's
vaping, so it's got to be like somewhat modern day. Like when he's walking past the kids that are at the
yeah,
campsite, like they're all holding vapes. Like they're very much shaped like elf bars and stuff like that. So I know it's modern-ish.
right.
So
I just thought that his casual clothes design was kind of
mhm.
funny. But anyway, yeah, I think it's a really solid start. I'm definitely at least in for another one. Uh and we'll see where my interest is there. But I thought it was a pretty solid start. I'm
Yeah,
gonna give it an
good
8.
first issue. Yeah, I would
Hmm.
say 8 too. Yeah, I'll give that an 8. What really got me excited was I was going through my pull list for the next month or so, and I put Absolute Martian Manhunter on there, and I saw that at the back end as like the B story or whatever, like just to kind of like give you a little tease.
Yeah,
I'm gonna like that, dude. I'm gonna really like that Absolute Martian Manhunter. I love the design and like the art that they have in there. I can't remember. I don't
very
know if you remember.
colorful.
You remember the top of your head who did the art for that? I'm pulling it through right now.
No, I know Al Ewing is the writer, but
No, writer is Dennis Camp.
oh, Dennis Camp, I'm thinking of
Artist
Green
Javier
Lantern.
Rodriguez. Yep, there it is. I'm down for that.
Yeah, who did the art in the shitty Zatanna book?
Yeah, I know. I saw the colors there. I'm like, this name sounds familiar. I'm like, this is the Zatanna guy. But like, you know what? He didn't write that. And the best parts about that Zatanna book were the trippy,
Yeah,
colorful things that were happening in
of
that series.
course. The
So,
art carried that 100%.
and it's gonna get trippy in this one too. So I'm super excited. At the very end, where it's like, oh, the Dar's like making like little figures of like the parent of the family. Oh, that's you and mom. That's very cute. Where's daddy? And points over, and it's like the Martian Manhunter, like grotesque looking thing. Like, oh, that's gonna be good.
Yeah,
That's gonna be real good.
yeah, it'll be cool. I
Yeah, I'm
believe
stoked
that's
for
out
it.
this week, right?
Yeah, it's out soon. Yeah.
Yeah, or maybe next week, but
So get the list.
uh
Yep, next week. Yeah.
so all right, well, hey Preston, what are 3 books you're excited for this week?
Well, definitely absolute Martian Manhunter faux show. Going through all these. Let's see what else we got here. We got. Well, I scrolled through one that I know Casey's gonna get the Harley Quinn Fartacular Silent but Deadly One Shot. He's all about that one. I know. Cannot correct me on that one. Um, I don't think I got a whole lot coming out. Uncanny X-Men. Super ready for that. Um, but yeah, there's not a whole lot here for this week. I'll probably end up, if there's not a whole lot on this week, I'll do X-Men Manhunt Omega 1
Hmm.
just to see where that goes. I'm sure someone's going to fucking reference that in one of these other issues going down the road.
Sure.
And then I think I was also eyeballing Universal Monsters, the Mummy one, so that way get a little Casey love in here
Yep.
to get that going. So I would say those are probably my top. I'm looking forward to next week.
Excellent. Um, yeah, I think a lot of people are going to be stoked for the Mummy. Those Universal Monsters books have sold very well
Dude,
for me.
yeah.
Um, and I know Casey's hyped for the start of the Godzilla Marvel crossover stuff.
Oh, I'm sure.
He's going to be stoked for that Godzilla Fantastic Four. But for me, I'm going to go with uh, Absolute Wonder Woman, um, Batman 158, which is the start of Hush 2.
Okay.
Hopefully, that's pretty awesome. And probably Justice League Unlimited because that's been a really solid book as well.
Okay.
So, or Daredevil. Daredevil's always
Yeah.
fucking awesome. So, all right. Well, before I ask this week's
Hmm.
Fantastic Four, you would like to revise last
Yes.
week's.
As everyone see me got all clammy and choked up on the Marvel top four last week. I'm like, yeah, I can't do that. I can't do it like that. I got to come back with my proper Marvel top four. So Blade and Miles did make that still top four. They're definitely going to be in there. Not a whole lot of good Blade books that I've read. I'm sure they're out there. Again, if you know any, put them in the comments below. But I've been loving the recent Miles run by Ziegler. Um, and then obviously the Into the Spider-Verse stuff is just phenomenal. Best animated movies I've ever seen and ever. The recent run of Moon Knight. Who was the writer again on that one?
Jed McKay.
Jed McKay, good old X-Men guy now too.
Yep.
I've absolutely adored that series. I'm looking for the trades when they come out for the Fist of Khonshu stuff that's happening now. And we got similar taste in women, little furry, little redhead, it's fine. And then I was going through, I'm like, there's a lot of good other Marvel characters, but like I don't really read a whole lot of Marvel. So I'm like, you know what? All those Dr. Aphra books I have over there have Marvel written at the top of the spine. So I'm like, you know what? She's a Marvel character. She hasn't been in
Yes.
anything else other than Marvel Star Wars comic books. So I'm going to consider her a Marvel character. Dr. Aphra is probably one of my favorite newest Star Wars characters.
Yeah.
And dude, I want her to show up somewhere. Like in any of these shows, it's like Grogu and Mandalorian stuff happening. Like let her show up somewhere in one of these. I need her live action. I really need that. So that would be my actual Marvel top four. Fantastic.
Excellent. Excellent. A good list. So for this week, I let you know ahead of time.
Thanks. Appreciate it.
But now we're going to do our 4 favorite DC characters.
Yeah.
So go ahead.
All right. This one is no surprise to anyone. John Constantine. I'm sorry. Americans call him John Constantine, and most other people do. But if you're from Liverpool, like his area, you're gonna call him Constantine. His mama calls him Constantine. Okay.
It's crazy that you're still willing to die on that hill.
No, it's more of a funny thing now. I'm like, I still call him Constantine, like in everyday talk.
Yeah.
Because I really have to try for it, Constantine. But when the creator says it, and then we also talked to one of the artists who did a really nice full virgin cover for me, or blank cover for me. He even said, yes, technically in that area, if his friends and family would have called him that, but everyone else just calls him Constantine. I'm like, okay, all right, fair enough. There's a lot of vindication there because Alex was right there next to me. He's like, yeah, what do you pronounce it? How you pronounce it? And then I got right, and I'm like, yes, thank you. So yeah, 100% John Constantine. He's probably my favorite DC character. Followed closely by Swamp Thing, who's a part of that realm. Allowed John and Swamp Thing. They get along. Well, get along is a weird way of saying it, but they interact a lot together.
Yes.
But yeah, I love Swamp Thing. The whole inner turmoil with he's no longer a man, but he still has memories of him being a man, but he is definitely not that anymore. And like somehow more the green just becomes him. Just becoming a god, which is what I like. And that last one with Ram V was just amazing, and the artwork in there is just phenomenal. So yeah, Swamp Thing's definitely up there for me. You got Green Lantern. I like a lot of Green Lanterns. If I had to pick one, it would be John Stewart for sure. That's kind of who I've mostly grown up with. A little bit of Hal here and there, but I mean, if you grew up in our era of the Justice League cartoon, our Green Lantern is John Stewart, and he has been there for me the entire way through, and he's held up when it comes to comic books. His comic books are also really good. And then lastly, I almost did a double for the last one. We can still consider it a double. I put Batgirl, but if we want to, we can put Batgirls.
Sure.
If I had to choose my favorite, obviously Cassie's my favorite, but I think them together is so heartwarming, and it's just a great partnership. It's just that Batgirls as a total is just that's what I want to see. When I saw that latest Batgirl issue and Steph was in that dream thing, you get like a little bit of that like that little choke up, like you're kind of reading it. It's like that it's a very loving relationship, and I love that. But also, I think Cassie is also a badass. Like her having like the mouth, that face part stitched back in so it's all black, and she's like full ninja. Oh, that design, 10 out of 10.
It's way scarier than Batman.
It
Batman
is
likes to use that fear. Hers is scarier.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I like all those on your list as well. All great characters. This was tough for me because I have a lot more favorite DC characters than I do Marvel characters. So
same.
All of these but one could be switched out. But everyone knows my number one favorite DC character is Nightwing.
Mm-hmm.
Thanks to Casey and Casey's dad. Nightwing is the reason that I even like comic books.
That ass is the reason why you like Dark Nightwing.
Yes,
It's the beef.
yep, he's beefed, he's caked up,
Mm-hmm.
but
He's very cool.
yeah, Nightwing. Another one for me is Dr. Fate. I really
Mm-hmm.
like that whole magical Justice League
Yeah.
dark corner of the DC
Mm-hmm.
universe,
I feel
and
you.
you know, Dr. Fate is DC's Sorcerer Supreme, even
Oh
though he
yeah,
was
100%.
around before Doctor Strange, but
Mm-hmm.
just that idea of the best sorcerer in the universe. Um, I have to include Mr. Miracle.
Okay.
Jack Kirby's Fourth World is one of my favorite parts. The new gods, Mr. Miracle, Forever People, all that stuff. I love it. And Mr. Miracle is my favorite part of all of that. He's always surrounded by a bunch of like dark, messed up shit, but he's always in good spirits. And that escape artist mentality, I think, fits all that very
Mm-hmm.
well. Plus, Bard is fucking cool too.
Yeah, Bart is real fucking cool. Like I haven't read anything outside of Birds of Prey with her in it, but like that series has won me over on Barda. Barda is very fun. And
Yeah.
get a lot of back and forth to Cassie on that one.
Yes, which I enjoy as well.
Yes. Very cute.
And then for number four, I'm going with Hawkman.
Oh,
I love Hawkman, all of
okay.
his solo series. While I haven't read everything, there's a lot out there, but all of it is very cool. He just looks awesome. I like those characters that kind of lean more fantasy. And while a lot of his stuff is more sci-fi, he looks more fantasy. He uses those weapons. Uh, he just looks so fucking cool. He's Hawkman.
Well, that's
Hawkman's
because like
cool.
he's like ancient, so like he just carries that over within him through time.
Yes,
And if I and like correct me if I'm wrong, but like Hawk Woman or Hawk Girl or whatever, that's like his like love of his life, and they always find each other in each like reincarnation, which I think that is a very cool story and like plot line because
it is
you
cool.
can go with the whole like yes they get together and it's a happily ever after, or you get to where it's like maybe one of them don't want to be with the other one this time around. So, but they are like they got to fight that whole like fate thing. So it's
Hmm.
very
It is very cool. And that last Hawkman series we got during Rebirth was just
cool. Mm-hmm.
absolute perfection.
Liked it. Nice.
Yeah. So anyway,
Good.
there we go. So, like I said last week, if you would like to let us know down below who your favorite DC characters are, please do. We would like to know. But that brings us to the end of the episode. So, Preston, appreciate it as always. You've been a
Yeah.
fantastic stand-in.
Anytime.
We'll see where we're at next week. Might have you on again.
Yeah.
We'll see how Casey's doing. But
Yeah. Much love out to Casey. We're thinking about
yes,
you.
absolutely. So, everybody have a great week. We'd love to stay in chat, but we have to go get double disqualified from the Chinese Grand Prix. So we'll catch you next time.
No.
See ya.
Peace.
Thank you for listening to the Two Worlds Podcast. You can follow us on Instagram at Two Worlds Pod, on Twitter at two_worlds_PC, and on Facebook at facebook.com/twoworldspodcast. You can email us with any questions or comments at twoworldspodcast@gmail.com, and if you would, please subscribe to our YouTube channel. We are Two Worlds Podcast on YouTube.